All right, we have some breaking news right now. Our Sky Fox is over. What we're hearing is ICE activity. This is at 105th and Avenue N. I believe this is in the Chicagoland area? Is that what we're hearing? Okay, that is in the Chicagoland area. It looks like far south side. They're taking some people into custody here. We see a black SUV, and we just saw a person dressed in military fatigues with either Border Patrol or ICE escorting a person against the front hood of that black SUV. It looks like there are several agents in the area here. Again, this is alleged ICE activity at 105th and Avenue N in the Chicagoland area. This is the far south side. It looks like they have the street blocked off there. We're hearing reports that this all started as a crash, and then it looks like ICE agents responded to the scene. Boy, we see a lot of people there. It looks like some of the agents are perhaps wearing plain clothes and others are in military fatigues. Lots of people in the street there. It looks like they're kind of shuffling those people, ushering those people near this black SUV and some other vehicles on the scene there. As we continue to get new information, and again, this is just coming into the newsroom. That's why I was delayed at bringing you the news, because we just got this shot from Sky Fox. We're just learning more about this situation, but it looks like a lot of people have gathered in the middle of the road there. This is ICE is reporting that there have been about 1,500 arrests so far since Operation Midway Blitz in the city of Chicago. So about for the past month, they've picked up 1,500 people. We're going to continue to stay with this scene as we get new information. And excuse me if I pause to see if new information has come in via email on this scene. Again, what we know at this point at 12:28 in the afternoon is that there is a large presence of ICE and potentially Border Patrol agents at 105th and Avenue N on the south side of Chicago. Lots of vehicles blocking the street there. It's hard to tell if there are plainclothes officers or those are just residents in the area, but you can see, oh my goodness, at least 24, maybe close to 50 agents there in the area. What we're hearing at this point is this all started as a crash. We don't know if it involved one vehicle or multiple vehicles. We don't know if maybe those agents were in pursuit of someone when this all happened, but it's certainly attracting a lot of attention on the south side of Chicago. We are currently reaching out to get you more information on this scene. It looks like this is going to be a big story of the day here in Chicago on this Tuesday afternoon. Since we joined this scene about 3 minutes ago, we saw at least one person, maybe two people taken into custody, and it looks like those agents are handcuffing additional people as well. Again, this all started as a crash on the south side of Chicago. We have very little information at this point in time, but we want to stay with this scene because it's so active at 105th and Avenue N. This as we continue to follow this. You know, initially the Trump administration ordered the National Guard to the city of Chicago. We had hundreds of troops from Texas, and the Illinois National Guard also called up a judge's decision has put that to an end. So those agents, or those troops, I should say, are not allowed to be deployed at this point in time. But still, ICE agents, ATF, FBI, Border Patrol still allowed to do their business in the city of Chicago and Chicagoland areas. All right, it looks like some of the folks that have arrived on the scene here, one of them is carrying a flag. So it looks like in addition to those agents, those federal agents, we also have some protesters perhaps. And I'm trying to see if maybe some local police are involved in this, because I'm trying to make out the uniforms of some of the officers involved here. Right now, I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 SUVs, it looks like that maybe belong to those agents. It looks like we are seeing some movement. Initially, a report of a vehicle crash that led to some detainments. There's a pickup truck on the scene there. I'm trying to see if that has any damage. Perhaps that's the vehicle in question that began this. We don't know if maybe there was a vehicle that was being pursued by those agents, and that's what maybe drew this attention. Looks like right now those agents are trying to block some of the protesters off from the scene. Okay, what I'm hearing now is that this is on the east side of Chicago, excuse me, and that we do not have any word that local law enforcement is involved in this. Again, this scene at 105th and Avenue N in Chicago on the east side there. Okay, we have some agents that were seen firing some pepper balls. And as we stay on this scene, we've been with it now for about 6 minutes. We do see a significant number of protesters gathering. At least 2 people taken into custody, and I want to clarify what we're hearing right now is no local law enforcement involved in this. This is just federal agents. Very close to this scene, let's see here. I want to tell you, this is the east side neighborhood of Chicago. All right, let's see. But this is actually on the south side of Chicago, but it's the east side neighborhood. And it looks like, you know, very residential area. There are a few businesses several blocks away. 106th Street, there's like a business zone there. So this is fairly residential. I have Paris Schutz joining me now as well as we take a closer look at the scene. Okay, let's set this up for you, Paris. I know you just joined me. So we've been on this scene about, let's say, 8 minutes now. And when we initially joined, we saw federal agents taking a couple people into custody, and they're blocking off this intersection of 105th at Avenue N, which is the east side neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. Boy, it looks like a large number of agents there and protesters are continuing to arrive at the scene.
Certainly, yeah, it looks like a lot of folks out there. Now, that's the 10th ward there. So the southeast side, that's Peter Chico, alderman. That's kind of the ward where Ed Verdoliak came from, you know, a working class, ethnic Eastern European ward, now very large Hispanic Latino population and also African American population. And so, you know, it's where all the industry was. It's where all the factories used to be. And there's a lot of environmental groups down there that talk about their worries about environmental pollution down there. So there's a very close-knit neighborhood, obviously, as you see them coming out here. Now, ICE, you know, they've complained that as they go into these residential neighborhoods, folks are tailing them in cars, they're boxing them in, and thus the need for tear gas and the more aggressive activity. Now, this is what DHS has said consistently. We don't have a statement from them on this particular situation. Residents tell a different story. They say these ICE agents are coming in and disrupting these neighborhoods, and folks are just trying to track them and videotape them, which they do have a legal right to do in the state of Illinois, to shoot on video police officers or law enforcement in the act of law enforcement. And so that's where some of these things have turned contentious, as they've claimed that people are following them, trailing them, blowing whistles. You know, there's a group going around blowing whistles when ICE agents are you know, conducting their raids, and that's obviously irritating the ICE agents, but it's sort of an attempt to get people into their homes and to tell people that ICE is there. So this is what we've seen play out in places like Rogers Park, Albany Park over the weekend. And it's really upset a lot of residents. We obviously have seen a lot of cell phone videos of residents that don't feel like agents should be coming into residential neighborhoods in the plain of day and acting very aggressively, especially. So that's you know, that's kind of the backdrop of what you're seeing. You see these pictures here, very residential, very blue collar, bungalow, southeast side, 10th ward. That's Alderman Peter Chico. I know we're attempting to get him on the line to see what exactly is happening there.
You know, what's the status of the ICE agents or federal agents congregating in Chicago? We had the ruling on the National Guard, the judge saying, the U.S. District Judge saying that they could not be deployed to the streets of Chicago. But what is the latest on the Trump administration's push to keep those federal agents in Chicago? Have you heard anything new on that?
Well, yeah, the judge, I mean, there's a stay or an injunction here for 14 days, about 11 more days left of that. And basically, they cannot be deployed. I mean, the law is pretty clear on that. They can't be deployed until they go back to court and they figure out whether to extend that injunction. So this is all ICE agents. This is all federal agents. And this is why I think DHS has said, well, we want National Guard to come in and help act as backup. But, you know, the law is the governor has to approve the deployment of the National Guard unless something like the Insurrection Act. And you've heard President Trump threaten to invoke the Insurrection Act, which is a very rare and extreme thing to do. Now you see some flags there. It looks like Colombia and Mexico I'm sorry, Venezuela perhaps, or in Mexican flag. Which again represents a lot of, a lot of the recent asylum seekers are Venezuelan. A lot of undocumented immigrants are Mexican. And there's tension between these two communities. A lot of Mexican immigrants feel like, well, we've come the right way. We've been here for generations, and now there are Venezuelan asylum seekers escaping some of the difficult conditions in that country. I'm just going off of the flag.
Well, we know that the Biden administration allowed for Venezuelan immigrants to stay here without penalty. During his administration, he put down that executive order. And so this is an interesting scene. Also,
which has been rescinded, which has been revoked.
But I just kind of laying the land for that here. Now, what is the status of, there was a ruling about using tear gas and rubber bullets against protesters, and what we've heard with this scene so far is that they have deployed tear gas.
Yeah, I mean, the ruling is they have to give 2 warnings before they deploy anything like that, and we don't know if ICE agents are following that. I mean, we've had residents anecdotally in some of these cell phone videos say they did not see that they feel like these agents have just kind of come in and thrown tear gas at will and not given the warnings as a federal judge has required. I mean, they cannot use force against protesters, people expressing their First Amendment right. When it turns into something more dangerous, ICE has said some of those protests have turned into folks obstructing our ability to do our work. And that indeed you can't obstruct law enforcement. That's a felony. But the judge is saying, but you got to give 2 warnings if you're ICE. You can't just throw tear gas or have munitions or rubber bullets. As you look at, I mean, it does seem like the agents there are outnumbered by members of the community. And, this is a tricky situation for Chicago police because the sanctuary laws, they cannot be seen assisting in immigration situations. But there was the controversy over whether they had gotten the order not to reply a week and a half ago to the situation in Brighton Park when an ICE agent had called for help. And so, I mean, it seems like, if police officers come and help keep peace between protesters and ICE agents, that wouldn't necessarily constitute a violation of the law. But, there are a lot of folks very closely watching what local police do and saying the laws are clear, local police cannot assist in immigration activities. I guess, is that Chicago police that we see there that they had zoomed in on? So, I mean, if Chicago police are standing in the periphery trying to just maintain order, that's something that they're certainly legally allowed to do.
How does an investigation with ICE work? Because with Chicago police, I mean, they could be on the scene hours.
Yeah, there they go. Those are Chicago police right there. So it looks like they're trying to just kind of go in and disperse the crowd, kind of help maintain some distance between the ICE agents and protesters. And again, the line is very thin. They can't be seen helping ICE on an immigration raid. So this right now is just trying to keep the peace, trying to keep the neighborhood safe, trying to keep officers safe and protesters safe, which, of course, police are trained in doing. They are trained in doing this. There's a lot being said about Customs and Border Patrol officials and ICE agents are not trained in crowd control and de-escalation and urban policing as is shown here. I mean, we've seen a lot of these contentious situations are part, there's some more tear gas there, partially because they're just not trained in this. They don't know how to effectively de-escalate, and there's a lot of questions as to whether they should be coming into these residential neighborhoods in the plain of day without a warrant or without some kind of, distinct distinct person that they're coming after. And as you see the tear gas going again. So they're dispersing people.
Well, and let me also say, too, that there was concern for Chicago officers who get involved. To aid in this, but they're also getting hit with the tear gas.
Well, and that was one of the things that Superintendent Snelling had said is like, if we don't respond right away, it might be because we want our officers equipped with riot control and face masks and stuff like that. And if there, as you can see right there, there goes the tear gas. And a lot of folks are upset that tear gas going into residential neighborhoods going into people's homes. You know, if people have asthma, people have problems, this could be very problematic. And this is why people have problems with ICE very forcefully and aggressively coming into residential neighborhoods right in the middle of the day like this.
You wonder how long this is going to last. As I started to ask before, you know, you've got a police investigation. We know that these can shut down intersections, interstates for hours. And so, but with this, it's a different sort of, you know, is there an investigation going on? Are they just trying to pick people up here and then they move on? They disperse the protesters and they move on. And it does look like some of their vehicles are leaving. Well, this is to disperse the
protesters, yeah. And it looked like they were fleeing. And so this is 105th and Avenue N. Again, I mean, this is near the border of Indiana here. This is a little east of the Skyway. So, yeah, and as you notice, it's such a small, it's a couple square block radius here. And that's why, you know, the notion of invoking the Insurrection Act for things that are happening on a 2 or 3 block radius in Portland or in Chicago or in the suburbs of Chicago would seem to be extreme, because this is not nationwide, this is not even citywide or neighborhood-wide. These are actions that the federal agents are provoking by going into these neighborhoods, and folks come out and they videotape them, or some of them follow them, and as we mentioned, some of them blow whistles to try and warn people that ICE is there engaging in activities. So what the police are going to do is just kind of seal off a few square block perimeter around there to make sure traffic doesn't go in there as this tear gas gets deployed. And I'm sure we'll be waiting to see the cell phone videos that come up. We'll have to authenticate them, obviously, but you know, I'm sure people have been very aggressive in taking video of some of these things that have happened. But you know, this is the problem, is that federal agents are they're not telling local authorities where they're going to conduct their raids and their operations, which is frustrated local authorities, and why, you know, partially why there's such a contentious. So sometimes they do go in to the police, you know, the district office there, to the police, and in the past that's what they had been doing. I don't know that they're still doing this because this has gotten so contentious, but they would go in and just kind of inform local police, hey, we're going to go to 105th and Avenue N, there's something. Yeah,
you wonder, had someone, were there people leaking where they were going? They were fearing for their safety, and that's why?
You know, as bad as the relationship is between public officials and the federal government right now, they have maintained somewhat of a dialogue with the police, and Snelling has mentioned that. Again, just going in and informing them, we're going to be here just so you know, just so you're informed. We know we can't, you know, per the law, you can't come help us, you know, raid a house, but you should know for public safety purposes where we're at. And you know, Snelling has said that they've still kept that dialogue and that communication. As you see, police clearly are there.